piano or the violin? Keep watching to find out. If we haven't met, hi, I'm Megan. I'm a violinist and teacher currently based in New Jersey. I've been playing the violin for over 20 years. I have both my bachelor's and master's degrees in violin performance, and I'm a Suzuki trained teacher. If you're enjoying my videos, please make sure you're subscribed to my channel and check out my self-paced, versatile learning program, Learn Violin Online. It's always linked in the description, and you can try it for yourself totally free for 5 days. So what's harder, piano or violin? Obviously, this is very personal, and it will just depend on who you ask. But as someone who has played both instruments, I'm happy to share my take on it. Both instruments have strengths and weaknesses. They have things that make them easier and things that make them harder. So for the piano, what makes it easier is that all you have to do is press a key. You don't have to necessarily worry about your finger placement. Of course, you want to make sure that you are touching the keys correctly, but unlike the violin where you have to worry exactly where to place your finger, if you just press the right key on the piano, it's going to sound good. That brings me to my next point. With the piano, you don't have to worry about tone. Again, if you just press that right key, the tone, the sound is going to be good. It's going to be clear. Because all you have to do is know where the keys are and press the right key in order for it to be in tune and sound good, piano is probably a little bit easier to learn at the very beginning. However, if you're learning piano, it's likely that you are also learning a lot of music theory, which, depending on your experience, can be easy or hard. In my experience with piano, you learn to read notes earlier, and reading notes is not easy by any means. It took me years and years to read them fluently. You also need to be familiar with chords and chord progressions and other various musical symbols. Some cons about the piano or things that make it harder, at least in my personal opinion, is that you have to read two different clefs. So for the piano, you play in treble clef for your right hand and in bass clef for your left hand. So you have to read those notes differently. The other thing that I think makes the piano harder is that you have to do so many different things with your hand. You could be playing like two different rhythms with your right hand, two different rhythms with your left hand, all at the same time, in addition to reading those two clefs. So that multitasking just wasn't for me. Now I know you might be thinking, well, Megan, you're doing the same thing with the violin, right? Like you're bowing and you're fingering. But for me, it's easier because they work together to create one musical line. It's not like I'm playing 4 separate lines at a time. I might be doing different things with my hands, but generally I'm just playing one line of music. So over to the violin. What makes it easier is, one, you're only reading in treble clef, right? So you don't have to worry about bass clef at all. 2, it does require a bit maybe less finger dexterity because you're only using 4 fingers over here and then you're holding the bow, right? Whereas with piano, you're moving your fingers much more because you're playing many more notes. However, what makes the violin harder is posture, right? Holding the bow and holding the violin is not necessarily natural, and that is a very big hurdle to get over at the very beginning. Additionally, like I already touched on, in order for your violin to sound good, like everything has to be in the right spot, right? Your finger has to be in exactly the right spot. Your bow has to be straight and has to be in the right spot on the violin. So at the beginning, it can be harder just to produce a decent sound. So for me personally, I find the violin easier than the piano. I always have. When I was a kid, I always preferred to practice violin over piano. And that's just me. It could be opposite for you. However, I will say that knowing how to play the piano is very important for all musicians. One, it gives you that theory background, right? You'll most likely be learning music theory in your piano lessons, which is going to help you. Also, if you ever would like to major in music, you are going to have to take piano classes. And I remember being so thankful that I had already taken years of piano lessons because that wasn't too hard for me. As compared to some of my classmates who were just learning piano for the first time, it was much, much more difficult for them. Also, the fact is that piano is a very in-demand instrument for lessons. So if you can teach beginning piano students, you can get more students. So that's just my opinion. Let me know, what do you think is easier, the piano or the violin? Don't forget to check out Learn Violin Online. Start your 5-day free trial today. See you next time.